What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Today we are out here by the pond I built a few years ago. I posted a video building this pond, I think 2 or 3 years ago now, and it's been doing really well. I think at the moment it has about 600,000 views, which is crazy. I'm glad you guys are enjoying that video. It's been getting a lot of comments and questions, so today I'm just going to go through and read some of those comments and try and answer some of those questions the best I can. I'll show you guys around the pond a little bit because it's been a few years, so we'll get you guys up to date on how it's holding up, and we'll answer some questions for you.
So there has been a few changes, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little bit once we start reading some questions and comments. I've replaced some of the rocks a little bit just to make it kind of look better. We've obviously added lots of plants. Yeah, this is what it's looking like a couple years after I built it.
Alright, so the first question we have here is how big is the liner I used? So the liner I bought is 12 foot by 15 foot, and that was $165. So a 12 foot by 15 foot liner gives you a pond about this big. Second question is, what pump did we use? So this is the box here. The brand is Aquascape. It's an Aquaforce 1000. It's got some bunch of details on here. It says it's for ponds up to 2,500 gallons, which is plenty big for this pond. This is only 300 or 400 gallons. I actually got this from a pond store just a mile or two from my house. It was super convenient. I got all my stuff there. The people there were super helpful. They helped me with any questions I had, and they recommended this pump for this size pond. So as you can see, the water flow from the pump, it seems pretty good to me. The pump was $175, and it has a 3-year warranty, so that's always good to have. A lot of people have asked how much it costs to run a pump 24/7 for a pond like this, and on the box it says here, it costs $4.36 per month. So that shouldn't be a huge concern running this pump 24/7. Next question is, how do you know it's 400 gallons? I don't. I just kind of guessed. I'm thinking it's seems like a lot of water. I'd say 300 or 400 gallons. A lot of people have been asking about the underlayment, which is the fabric material under the liner. And that's just pretty much anything like bed sheets or old towels or rags or whatever you can find, just to protect the liner a little bit in case there's any sharp rocks underneath it or any roots or something like that. So whatever you can really come up with would work really well for an underlayment material underneath the liner. One question I saw a lot was about the fish. I decided to go with goldfish because they don't get too big. They only get up to 5 or 6 inches big maybe. Another popular option would be koi fish, which they get huge. They can get multiple feet big, and for a pond like this, it just didn't really make sense to have fish that big. So I just threw a couple goldfish in there, and they've been doing well. So about the fish, as you can see in the video, I think I bought 3 or 4 goldfish. And this is also another question a lot of people ask is, how the fish are doing, and they do really well. I haven't had any just die because of the water or anything like that, but a lot of them have just gone missing. So I'm assuming what happens is animals like raccoons, or I've actually seen a couple blue herons around the pond. They're probably coming through and grabbing fish here and there. So we've actually lost probably 5 or 6 goldfish within the last few years, which is a bummer. And I've heard a lot of people say that pond plants like these, I think these are water hyacinths, they provide some cover for the fish and makes it harder for animals to reach in there and catch a fish. So since these have spread so much, we really haven't had too many missing. There's 3 in there now. There's actually 1 original fish in there. Actually, that's him right there, the one with the big eyes, so he's easy to spot. I built this pond in the summer of 2018. So it's been just about exactly 5 years since then. So he's about 5 years old. I put my GoPro in the water, and I have some cool clips of the fish. I actually have gone out and caught a few minnows in a nearby creek. So there's a couple minnows in there as well. They've been here for about a year now. I caught them last summer, and they survived the winter. question was, how much did this pond cost to build? And I have some numbers here for you. So the pump was 175 bucks. The liner was 165 bucks. The filter was 100 bucks. Then there's a few other small things like the hose that goes from the pump to the filter. That was like 35 bucks, and then you need hose clamp. So altogether, that stuff comes to about 500 bucks. And then of course you need all the rocks, which luckily for us, we had a big pile of rocks on our property, so I didn't have to pay for these rocks. But if you do have to buy rocks, I would say hopefully they wouldn't be any more than $5 a piece if you're buying them in bulk. So say we have 50 of them, that's 250 bucks on rocks. So that's about 750 bucks for all the material you need to build a pond about this size. If you're not able to do it yourself and you have to pay a professional, obviously that's going to be an additional cost there. I saw a few comments saying that this probably wasn't the best place to put a pond because it's directly under a whole lot of trees. So in the fall, when all those leaves come down, it would make quite a mess in the pond. So there's an easy way to avoid that. I usually just buy some bird netting. I put a few stakes around the pond and then drape that bird netting on top of the entire pond. That way the bird netting catches all the leaves before they drop into the pond, and then every couple days you can just clean off the bird netting and drape the bird netting back on top of those stakes, and that prevents a lot of the leaves from getting into the pond. A lot of people said that I should put rocks in the pond, like layer it with pea gravel or river rock and put some big boulders in there. You could definitely do that. That wouldn't be a problem. I decided not to, just to keep it clean, and it's easy if I ever need to get in there and wipe down algae or whatnot. Another question is, what are our winters like? I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, so we do have some pretty harsh winters. From December to about March, we get snow and below freezing temperatures, and it definitely freezes over, which is why if you keep your fish in the pond all year round in this area, you need to make your pond at least 2 feet deep. If you do live in an area like this, you do have to keep a hole in the ice all year round so that oxygen can still get into the water. So what I would recommend is a de-icer. It's just a little pad, a heated pad that plugs into an outlet. It prevents ice from freezing in that one spot, so there's at least one hole where oxygen can still get through that hole and provide oxygen for the fish. I don't have a de-icer because I've actually brought my fish in every winter just because I already have a tank and a filter. And we actually enjoy having the fish inside for a few months during the winter because it's cool to have a nice display inside and you can see the fish all year round. Another question that I've got a lot is what filter did I use? And
all it is actually just a plastic box, and I'll show you. I'll take that rock off and we can look inside a little better. So this is the inside of the filter. Like I said, all it is a plastic box that water fills up, and once it overflows it creates that natural waterfall. But I guess this is the actual filter. This is what keeps it clean, and I guess natural bacteria builds up on this plastic, on these plastic pieces, and it creates a natural environment for the fish.
This person asked if I had any issues with the pond, and that's a really good question because I did have a big issue when I first built it. So when I first built it, if you go back and look, when I laid the liner, all the extra liner I cut off right around the rock. So what happened is I don't have an overflow drain, which you don't really need if you do it properly. So whenever it would rain, the rain would rise the level of the water, and then eventually it would overflow and the water would go directly underneath the liner, and it would collect up here and it would start to bubble up the liner. So there was a big bubble right here directly in the middle of my pond, which obviously is not good. So that was a huge mistake. I didn't do that properly, and what I learned was I had to redo it and to get a bigger liner. Whenever I drape the liner over the pond, you want to leave that excess liner so that whenever the water does overflow, the water flows away from the pond. So that's something you need to keep in mind if you're building your own pond. Make sure you don't cut off any excess liner. Keep that and drape it away, drape it downhill from the rest of the pond, and that way you don't actually need an overflow drain. So when you do buy fish for your pond and you're about to put them in, you need to make sure that you acclimate them to the temperature of your pond. If they're in a bag or a bucket, place the entire bucket in the pond water, and keep them there for a couple hours until the temperature that they're in slowly acclimates to the temperature of the pond water. And when you are putting fish in your pond, you do need to make sure your water is safe and healthy for your fish. We live in a neighborhood here with city water, so we do have chlorine in our water. So What you do need to do, if you have city water with chlorine in it, you need to make sure you get rid of that chlorine. Make sure it's good for your fish, which is easy to do. All you need to do is go to the pet store and get some of this tap water conditioner. So if you read the directions here, all you have to do is pour about 3 milliliters for every 10 or 15 gallons of water. And that'll actually dechlorinate the water and should make it safe for your fish. It also wouldn't be a bad idea to take a sample of your water and take it to probably a pet store would test it for you to make sure it's good for your fish before you put them in. A lot of people are asking about the plants, which is a great question. You do want to make sure that you add lots of plants to give the fish a natural environment, and they also do a lot for the water. They keep it clean and they add nutrients for the fish and whatnot, and they also add cover for the fish, like I said earlier. So here are some of the plants that we got. We have a few different grasses here and there. We do have some lily pads in there which are actually getting choked out by the water hyacinths. We actually just bought a handful of these and they're actually spreading like crazy. They're taking up most of the pond at this point, which is good because it gives the fish a place to hide from any predators. So since we got all these plants, we really haven't had any problems with fish disappearing, so that obviously does help a lot. So I think I answered just about all the questions and comments you guys had about the pond. If you guys do have any more questions, feel free to drop them down below in the comments and I'll try to get back to them. And like I said, I got my pump and liner and filter. I got all that kind of stuff from a local pond store by my house called Nature's Aquatics. I'll leave their website down in the description and you guys can go check them out, and I think you can probably order whatever you need from them. I'll actually throw a few clips in of their place because they have some cool stuff and they have 2 really nice ponds, so I'll let you guys see that. Other than that, I think that's about it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.